Have you ever wondered if the bond you share with your creatures is real, or if you're simply following a script written by others? In this world, most people settle for seeking the quickest victory, treating their companions as mere data in a number database, ignoring that every creature resting on your team is a masterpiece of design, instinct, and latent potential. I have spent years studying the anatomy of these living beings in my clinic and collecting thousands of historical pieces in my personal library. And I can assure you that what we are about to discover today is not a simple list, but an expedition into the technical heart of what it means to be a true breeder in ecosystems that, unlike conventional ones, breathe with their own logic, and sometimes a wild one. Today, we're going to break the shell of the ordinary to dissect 10 masterpieces that demand not only strategy, but also a deep understanding of biology and responsible raising. If you are passionate about observing how these creatures interact, evolve, and dominate their environment, and you want to be part of this community that investigates every detail of our passion, your thumbs up and your subscription to City Gamer are the energy that keeps the flame of this adventure alive and allows us to continue rescuing these treasures for our future museum. Get ready, because the way you see your digital companions is about to change radically. We are about to analyze 10 titles that master the art of domestication, synthesis, and survival. Fundamental pieces that challenge everything you thought you knew about creature training. The route is set, the specimens are ready, and the true lesson of mastery begins right now. Stay until the end, because what these creatures have to teach you is something no user manual will ever confess. We begin this descent into the technical with the number 10 spot, occupied by a work that achieves something few titles manage. Fusing the surgical precision of a complex combat system with the exploration freedom of a Metroidvania. Monster Sanctuary moves away from conventional narrative to give you a board of possibilities where strategy is the only language you understand. Here, it is not enough to have the strongest creature. You must understand the absolute synergy between the passive and active skills of your 3-creature team, where every move on the skill tree can mean the difference between a masterful victory or a fatal error on the battlefield. What truly elevates this title is the depth of its combo system, which rewards your tactical analysis ability above any level of experience. Progression feels organic and extremely rewarding, as each new creature you add to your sanctuary expands both your combat options and your map exploration capabilities. The gameplay is fluid and demanding, forcing you to optimize every turn under a structure where level design and boss fights are perfectly synchronized to challenge your intellect. It is, without a doubt, a masterclass in how to build a solid game system that does not need to rely on nostalgia to shine with its own light. At number 9, we find Dragon Quest Monsters. The Dark Prince, a piece that stands as the ultimate sanctuary for those who find pleasure in statistical architecture and monster alchemy. The gameplay here abandons the wild chase to focus on a synthesis system so deep it borders on obsession, where each combination is not merely a sum of values, but a process of digital genetic engineering. The heart of the experience lies in how you manage lineages, allowing you to inherit talents and skills that transform simple creatures into true powerhouses capable of overcoming any challenge. The most fascinating aspect of this title is the absolute control it gives you over your team's development. Unlike other exponents where growth is linear, here you are the direct architect of each mutation, meticulously deciding which traits to keep and which to discard in order to reach that perfect form you have in mind. The satisfaction of seeing a complex combination result in a creature with the exact stats and moves you planned is unmatched. It is a game that rewards patience and long-term strategic vision, turning every hour invested in the synthesis process into a firm step toward creating an elite team, consolidating itself as an indispensable gem for any collector who values precision and customization above all. At number 8, we find Pal World, a title that broke the genre's molds by merging creature capture with the raw mechanics of survival and industrial management. Here, gameplay transcends turn-based combat and places you in a dynamic environment where your creatures are not just soldiers, but an essential workforce for your base's development. The game system is a constant balance between exploring a hostile open world and optimizing resources, forcing you to manage not only your companions' health and combat skills, but also their biological and psychological needs as they work in your facilities. The positive aspect of this proposal lies in the absolute freedom it offers the player. The integration of building with capture means that every creature you add to your collection has a specific utility within your production chain, creating a much more tangible sense of purpose than in other games. The combat system is agile, based on real-time action, which gives it a sense of urgency and dynamism very different from the traditional. It is essentially a large-scale management simulator where efficiency is key. Watching your network of creatures coordinate complex tasks while you focus on the next expedition is an extremely addictive experience that redefines our relationship with these beings within the virtual environment. At number 7 rises Nexamen, Extinction, an entry that dares to look straight at the foundations of the genre, to dissect them with a scalpel sharpened by satire and an absolute respect for the classic structure. The gameplay distills a mechanical purity that feels refreshing, balancing intuitive exploration with a turn-based combat system that, while familiar, feels polished and charged with necessary tension. Here, success does not depend on chance, but on your ability to read the opponent's weaknesses in an ecosystem where your energy management and move selection define the course of each encounter. What truly stands out in this title is how it manages to transcend its own parodic nature to offer a solid adventure with a remarkably well-adjusted difficulty curve. The creature designs are exceptional, with an aesthetic cohesion that makes each discovery feel like a valuable piece within your collection. Moreover, the script plays a fundamental role, breaking the fourth wall and constantly questioning the tropes we have accepted as the norm, adding a layer of narrative depth rarely found in proposals of this scale. It is an extremely rewarding experience, built with the technical knowledge of someone who perfectly understands what makes us return to this type of game again and again.
Warriors, wind your keys and prepare for battle!
At number 6 comes Monster Rancher 4, a work that feels like an exercise in discipline and patience, moving away from the epic adventure to focus on the pure management of a miniature ecosystem. The gameplay here is a life and training simulator where success is measured not by how many fights you win, but by how long you can keep your creature in optimal condition. You must meticulously manage its rest cycles, its feeding, and the type of daily training, turning each monster into an individual project with a unique personality and trajectory. It is an experience that, from my professional perspective, resonates with the real responsibility of caring for a living being, where lack of attention translates directly into poor performance. What makes this installment an indispensable gem is the technical depth behind its raising system. You are not just training stats. You are shaping your creature's character and preparing it for the demands of tournaments where fatigue and stress management are vital. The ability to observe how your daily decisions influence your companion's longevity and potential creates a bond of a different scale, much more intimate than simple capture. For those of us who enjoy understanding the process behind growth and competitive excellence, this title offers a constant reward. The satisfaction of seeing how a creature that started as a common individual transforms, under your expert care, into a true legend of the arena. At number 5, we find Corman, a work that stands as the most honest and technically refined tribute to the golden age of portable adventures. Its gameplay is a lesson in balance, with a classic structure of exploration and turn-based combat, is enriched by a layer of modernization that is appreciated at every step. The game system not only demands a strategic selection of types and skills, but also introduces environmental puzzles that require the smart use of your creatures outside of battle, integrating them as an active and functional part of your progress through a world designed with exceptional coherence. What positions this entry at a higher level is its commitment to customization and granular difficulty. The game allows you to adjust various parameters, turning the experience into a tailor-made challenge where your squad management must be as precise as your ability to adapt to the most demanding encounters. The talent system and the different potential grades of each specimen add a collection dimension that directly appeals to the collector's instinct for the perfect specimen. It is a piece of game engineering that respects the genre's fundamentals while polishing every edge, delivering a fluid, visually nostalgic, and deeply satisfying adventure for any veteran seeking a classic experience without the limitations of the past.
Hold the line, we need to push past that sector!
At number 4 we find Digimon World. Next Order, a title that frontally challenges player complacency by placing you in the role of an absolute caretaker within an ecosystem that waits for no one. Here, gameplay is not about collecting for the mere sake of accumulation, but about the technical and human management of a life cycle. You must supervise your companions' feeding, sleep habits, physical training, and even their physiological needs. If you ignore these responsibilities, the consequence is illness or an irreversible outcome. It is a demanding simulation that requires rigorous, almost clinical planning, where every hour on the game clock is a resource you must optimize. What elevates this Digimon above the average is the emotional and technical depth that arises from this level of commitment. Unlike other systems, evolution here is a direct response to how you have raised your creature, making your team a reflection of your own decisions as a trainer. The satisfaction of watching a Digimon you raise from its most vulnerable stage reach its maximum potential is immense. It is an experience that celebrates resilience and constant learning, rewarding those with the discipline to study their creature's biological needs, becoming a fundamental piece for anyone seeking a raising simulation with real and tangible weight.
What an incredible performance from both teams today!
We reach the territory of honorable mentions, fundamental pieces that, although not occupying the top 10 spots, possess a technical quality that deserves recognition. We begin with Shin Megami Tensei V: Vengeance, a titan of a genre whose gameplay, centered on the press turn system, offers unparalleled tactical depth. Its negotiation mechanics with demons are fascinating, and its fusion system is simply the gold standard. It does not top the main list solely because its atmosphere and level of technical complexity are aimed at a niche that prioritizes dark narrative and punishing challenge, differing drastically from the creature management focus that defines the rest of this list. We continue with Moonstone Island, a charming proposal that blends collecting with life simulation and a card deck-based combat system. It is an extremely relaxing experience with impeccable artistic design. The reason it remains an honorable mention is that by dividing its identity among several genres, the weight of creature management is not as deep as in titles focused exclusively on that ecosystem, making it more of a niche gem than a pure training simulator. In third place we find Sirolum Ultimate, a work that is every extreme stat lover's dream. With over 1,200 creatures and a build customization capacity that borders on infinite, it is a technical marvel. However, its learning curve is so steep and its presentation so abstract that it can be inaccessible to a general audience. It stays out of the main top precisely because it is such an extremely technical experience that it sacrifices fluidity and narrative in favor of pure statistical experimentation. Finally, we have Jade Cocoon, Story of the Tamu, a cult title with a capture and fusion system for minions that was, in its time, a visual and conceptual revolution. The hand of Studio Ghibli in its art direction gives it a unique and unrepeatable identity. It is not part of the main top because, being a piece from another era, its gameplay mechanics show the weight of years, with limitations in its fluidity and level design that, although justified by its legacy, make it less practical for a modern player compared to the contemporary proposals we have analyzed today. At number 3 is Temtem, a work that redefines the creature collection experience by moving it entirely into the realm of massively multiplayer online. Its gameplay moves away from the solitary adventure to integrate you into a living ecosystem, where every interaction, battle, and discovery happens in real time alongside other players. The 2 versus 2 combat system is undoubtedly its brightest aspect. By removing the random critical hit component and focusing on precise energy management and synergies between companions, each turn becomes an exercise in tactical chess, where planning is absolute. The positive aspect of this proposal is its level of competitive polish and the transparency of its mechanics. It is a game designed for those seeking a balanced experience, where breeding specimens with specific genetic traits becomes a logical and rewarding process that fosters a vibrant internal economy within the game. The coherence of its world and the way it seamlessly integrates social elements make every play session feel like a significant step toward mastery. It is a title that does not try to hide its intentions behind old formulas, but embraces technological modernity to offer the most solid and fair competitive environment within the genre, making it a key piece for any trainer who wants to test their skills against the global community. At number 2 stands Cassette Beasts, a proposal that not only captures the nostalgia of the analog era, but revolutionizes the genre's foundations through an absolutely brilliant transformation mechanic. The gameplay places us in an environment where we do not capture living beings by isolation, but rather record their essences onto cassette tapes to later embody their forms during combat. This transmutation system allows the protagonist not to be a spectator giving orders, but an active participant in the battle, which radically changes immersion and strategy by integrating your own stats into the flow of combat. What elevates this work to the top is its fusion system, an engine of technical creativity that allows combining any pair of creatures to generate entirely new forms, with designs, abilities, and resulting types that are procedurally calculated. This hybridizing ability is not just an aesthetic ornament. It is a mechanical depth that invites constant experimentation, forcing you to analyze the synergies of every possible pair. The game's writing, laden with a mysterious atmosphere and cohesive world design, wraps an experience that rewards player curiosity and tactical audacity. It is, in essence, a piece of masterful design that makes every fusion choice feel like a personal discovery, consolidating it as one of the most innovative and technically robust titles of recent years. Finally, at the pinnacle of our selection, we find Yokai Watch 3, a gem that expands the limits of what we consider a collection game and turns it into a lesson in interactive design and strategic depth. Its gameplay breaks away from conventional systems by introducing a grid-based combat board, where the position of your allies is not an aesthetic detail, but the determining factor of your success. You must constantly manage your creature's movement in real time, rotating the battlefront while activating special skills, which requires precise mental coordination that few titles manage to replicate with such fluidity. This dynamic turns every encounter into a tactical dance where anticipation and quick response are fundamental tools for dominating the field. What is extraordinary about this title is how it manages to integrate its vast content into a living world, full of details and secrets that reward minute observation of the environment. Its collection system is not limited to capture. It requires you to understand the personality and desires of creatures with designs as charismatic as they are complex, integrating management elements that make every yokai on your team feel like an individual with its own functional role. It is a display of technical and creative ambition that not only redefines the genre, but elevates the player experience to a sovereign quality standard. For its ability to fuse unique mechanics, a rewarding learning curve, and a world that constantly invites discovery, it unquestionably occupies first place as the most complete and fascinating piece that any collector must experience. True mastery in the world of collection games does not lie in how many creatures you manage to store in your archive, but in the depth with which you understand each of their mechanics and the passion you invest in watching them evolve. We have journeyed through 10 proposals that challenge standards and transform the simple idea of capture into a technical exercise of strategy and management. But this exploration is only the beginning of what we could dissect together. Each of these titles holds secrets that are only revealed to those who, like you, dare to look beyond the surface and question the imposed rules. I would love to know which of these experiences has impacted you the most, or if you think there is another gem that deserves a place in our future museum of digital history. Leave your opinion in the comment box, because your perspective is the component that ultimately shapes this analysis. If this journey through the essence of strategy and raising has resonated with you, I invite you to become an active part of this community by subscribing to the channel, leaving a thumbs up, and activating notifications so you don't miss a single detail of the next technical challenges we have prepared at City Gamer. For those who wish to take their commitment to this project one step further, I extend a special invitation to become exclusive members. By joining, you will not only get early access to each video before its public release, but you will also directly drive the growth of this space at a truly accessible cost, allowing us to raise the quality of our research. Becoming a member is the most direct way to ensure that this gamer museum continues to expand and to be a fundamental part of the evolution of our identity. See you at the next level, where we will continue unearthing gaming history to keep building our legacy together.